Good afternoon. I call to order this joint adjourned regular meeting of the Mayor and City Council of the City of San Bernardino. Mayor and City Council of the City of San Bernardino acting as the successor agency. Thank you for your attendance. Also like to do some housekeeping and invite all of those in attendance to silence your cell phones. Thank you. This time we will be led in the Pledge of Allegiance by Councilmember Marquez.
Thank you, Mayor. Can you please rise and join me?
Thank you. We have several speaker slips. We'll start first with Deanna Adams.
Good evening. When this project is passed, we will have 238 units of low-income housing. So let us take a look at the Golden Avenue Apartments. I had the pleasure to take a look at it yesterday and to speak to some of the tenants. This project already has been passed, and people all have received their eviction notices. So it's a done deal. So my question is, why does we have to loan $880,000 of our money, which can be used for our citizens? We don't need to loan any money to this particular project because the tenants have been served, so they're ready to go, and the project is going on. And let's take a look at this project. I walked around, talked to the tenants, and I looked. There is a 90% improvement value of $1,648,000. It's 90% improved. So why is this property considered substandard and needs to be fixed? Let us take a look some more. It has 21 units, and it wants to increase into 39 units. The land is the same. That doesn't grow. However, from the units, 2-bedroom, I went in there, and it's going to be squeezed into 1-bedroom. So the goal of the city is to squeeze people in like sardines. It is disconcerting. It's very disturbing. And 90% has been improved. The Housing Authority purchased the property in 2016. It was improved. And so why do we need any more low-income units? Is that the plan of San Bernardino, is to keep this low scale? And is it the plan that we continuously use strategy of, we have to help the poor, we have to be compassionate? That is highly immoral. It's a socialist view, a liberal view, a crippling view that cripples humanity, and it is absolutely despicable that you would even think about adding this particular project, making it to 238 units. We don't need it. The place looks good. I went in there, and like I said, the people already have their eviction notices. They're ready to go. They're already being ousted. So say no to the $880,000 and use that money for real needs and not to one particular need that doesn't affect more people. So that's what I did yesterday. It was very interesting. I do not believe how this city can lie and how this city is so interested in packing and stacking and all that vacant lands for warehouses. Well, this is all that you can do. I'm really very disappointed.
Thank you. Carmel Rowe.
So first, I'd like to commend Mr. Valdivia, Mr. Nickel, and Ms. Richard for their last city council meeting. I watched it, and I was actually pleased, and usually you guys know I'm up here criticizing. But the problem I have with this 38 units here on Golden Avenue is, I'd like to know, did anybody drive by the apartment complex? If nobody here has driven by the apartment complex, then I have a real problem because it has all new windows. It's fully lighted at night. It is not dilapidated, and there's 21 families in there that you will be displacing. So you're telling me that you would displace 21 families for 38 people who are mentally ill? I mean, we have patent for that, okay? And then if you tell me that we have $880,000 in home funds, at the beginning we had $1.6 million and then some in home funds. And if you're telling me, and I got all the documentation on the plan and the substantial amendment and everything that has been going on, along with what you guys can do with the money, okay? And what you can do with the money is you could fund down payment assistance programs, okay? You could rehab people the front of their houses in your neighborhood, Ms. Richard. You could do it in the downtown corridor where it looks like trash, and these people, they are barely surviving, but they are making their house payments. So what you're telling me is that families, I don't care that they're HUD families, but you are going to displace 21 families. 2 bedrooms creates families. Okay, I've been a landlord in this city for over 25 years, and when I have a 2-bedroom, it is a hot commodity because it houses families. Okay, and you can have a single mother and her daughters in one room and her sons in the other, but after the age, you can't have daughters and sons in the same room. So what you're saying is you're going to displace 21 families. You're going to waste $880,000 on a property that has brand new windows, that is freaking secure. Deanna went in. They're not dilapidated, and I have, out of your guys' own packet, I took a picture here, and it says, this proposed project will modernize an existing multifamily building that is on the borderline of functional obsolescence. No, it's not. It's functioning perfectly well for those 21 families that are there with their nice dual-pane windows and their safe neighborhood that's very much lit up. Now, if you want to know what else you can do with those HUD funds, all you got to do is visit HUD.gov. I think nobody over here reads. And then when you say, oh, we got to cram it down by August 31st, this is 2015 money. Our 2016 action plan, let me tell you, our 2016 action plan says that we're going to provide 23 people with down payment assistance and use $600,000 of that money. So guess what? Why don't we give 46 people down payment assistance and create taxpayers and homeowners? Okay, and if we really want to help the homeless, the $7.5 million that our CDBG come in, why don't we do it right instead of pocketing developers and lining developers and taking out Section 108 loans and then making the city eat it? This is a crime, and the reason our misuse of CDBG, home, and ESG
Ms.
money
Rowe, your time's expired.
is exactly the sin of this city. And you guys are going to keep on, and I got all your notes. I got the action plan. I got it all here. Okay, and you guys are wrong, and if you do this, you guys have wasted another opportunity, and remember, this is election year, so if I were you, I'd really watch what you do.
Doug Rowan.
Good evening, Mayor Davis and members of the City Council. I'm Doug Rowan, president of Arrowhead United Way, located about 3 blocks up the street. I'm also chair of the Funders Alliance. You're probably all aware of the lack of funding that comes to the Inland Empire from the LA-based, the Bay Area-based, and Orange County-based foundations. We receive just a fraction of what other areas throughout the state receive. So we are representing and advocating on behalf of the Inland Empire, the 2-county area of San Bernardino, Riverside County, to bring additional increased funding to this area. Some of the reasons the foundations have stated that they have not funded in this area is there a question whether the nonprofits have the capacity to handle the funding. We're addressing that. In the past, they said there's a lack of vision, lack of political will to address the hard issues. I think over the years we have overcome many of those things. But I want to let you know that Funders Alliance has arranged for a bus tour. Last year we took the bus tour of San Bernardino and Riverside counties. This year we're going to leave Union Station in downtown LA with representatives from the LA-based foundations, and the tour will be the city of San Bernardino. The committee decided we wanted to do the city of San Bernardino. We'll meet at Santa Fe Depot. We'll hear about the history of San Bernardino. We'll tour a number of the nonprofits in the area. San Manuel will provide lunch. Dr. Marsden will talk about education. But we'll let them learn about the challenges of the city, but also the wonderful work the nonprofits are doing and what we're doing to address the community. So one of the issues was, are we willing to help ourselves? And I'd love to be able to say to the foundations when they ask me, what are you doing about homelessness in your community? Because they're going to see that. I'd love to be able to say, you know, it wasn't that long ago that the City Council approved $880,000 to work in partnership with the county on a project that will house at least 21 people. And it really makes a comment that we're willing to help ourselves, and then I can see a lot of the foundations willing to fund and invest in our future. So thank you for your support.
Thank you. Scott Olson.
You know, if you haven't noticed, the residents of the city aren't exactly happy with some of your choices. And no, it's not an election year in 2017. They have an entire year to prepare for how they feel in 2018 for those of you coming up for an election. And trust me, they're ready for it. Now, if this was $880,000 for local nonprofits in the city of San Bernardino to help local nonprofits actually help local residents, I'd be up here supporting you guys. I'd be up here, I'd be very happy. Instead, as usual, I've been gone for like 6 months, kind of trying to not pay attention to you guys because I get tired of talking and nobody listening. Here's the reality. Last time I was here, we were talking about Mary's house. Oh, it's this wonderful transitional housing for men, 110 beds in the 3rd Ward. 3rd Ward didn't want it, you shoved it down their throat anyway. Now I'm looking at the 7th Ward is getting this facility. You guys, you keep talking like, oh, we don't have anything to help anybody in the city. We've got to do something. This $880,000 is not going to make a difference in whether this project happens or doesn't happen. This $880,000 is a glaring example of the failure of City Hall to use that money for what it should have been used for in the first place. Now we got a nice little group of people coming along and, hey, let's give them an $880,000 gravy train. Never mind that the county is in charge of this facility. Never mind that the county has already put the money up to pay for it. We've got money, so let's give it to them. Because we failed to give it to those people who needed it most. And I know, because I work to feed the homeless. I work to feed those who need it. It's a part-time job for me. I see them every week. Now, what's most distressing is this claim that somehow this is the only one. Well, first it's the 110-bed facility wasn't the first. Water and Gardens. We have 78 units. They're HUD units. I can't rent them because I didn't go through a HUD list. I thought we weren't going to get any more of that kind of housing. Waterman Gardens is barely started, and we've got 78 new units. Now we go to this one. It's listed as a social service housing facility with the county authority, 7th Ward. But then we also go in the city's list underneath that, 29-bed permanent supportive housing for veterans and their families on East Street in 2nd Ward. And then we have another facility coming up, 29-bed permanent supportive housing for veterans and their families on 7th Street, pending approval. Guys, start doing the math. We're coming out of bankruptcy. This is one sheet, one snapshot of what you're doing this year. And you got 4 and 5 facilities rolling, hundreds of housing units. You're barely started. This $880,000, tell the county no. Henry's right. Let the other cities pick up the responsibility and stop making San Bernardino a dumping ground because we got to spend the money. Let it go to Washington. It'll get spent somewhere else.
Thank you. Robert Porter.
Mayor, council, good people. Wow, man, it's a pretty crazy situation here, considering that the project's going through anyways. I did do a poll, but I think the information I got last meeting was skewed, because from what I'm hearing now, it doesn't all add up. But this is a question I asked out of San Bernardino. I live in San Bernardino. Should we have more shelters for our homeless in our city? Or should we push other cities to pick up their slack by foregoing hundreds of thousands of federal monies? And the number one answer was yes, more help for the homeless, 31 people. And no force other cities and forget the grant monies was 10 behind in second. And then, of course, make rent go down again was high, too. What I see here is a common theme with the stuff that you guys bring up. Even the people themselves show it in this poll. We think we're going to lose out. You always bring stuff up to us at the last second and make us feel like we're going to lose out. But that's what promoters do. I deal with some of the biggest promoters in this area, and I hear it all the time. They're going to make me rich. Well, stop trying to make us rich. Just do what's needed to help the homeless. Whatever it is. But it doesn't have to be last second. And if you missed that money and you're in last second bringing it up, then please don't let that happen anymore. Because I've heard that story a couple times too. Like, oh, we just found these monies and we're going to lose them if we don't do it right away. Well, government doesn't have to move that quickly. If you prepare ahead, the cogs can move at their normal rate and everyone can be informed and everyone can add some input. So you don't have to have Ms. Pomeroy come up here and give information after the fact that our public could have used. They could have used to hear that money could have gone somewhere else. And if it can't, if we would have done this before, you could have a rebuttal to that. But now, there's no rebuttal. Have a nice vote.
Thank you. Sandra Ibarra.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, and welcome, Ms. Andrea, as a city manager. I was reading about the home HUD funds, and I was I questioned it more than anything because I was in close communication with the previous city manager, and I hope you guys are on the same page. My understanding was that the Arden Guthrie Highland project had to have a developer within the 90 days. This came out in July in the Sun newspaper. But now we're seeing that we're giving $880,000 of home HUD funds just to purchase the property north of Highland on Golden Avenue. That was in the agreement. I keep asking about HPI's legality. I didn't see a Giotto certificate on the packet, but yet back in September we had Mr. Ed Flores come here to council, rush the council to approve $625,000 of home HUD funds to HPI with no backup material either. Mr. Ed Flores was asked from the council to come back within 90 days with a proposal. We never got that proposal. When NPHS got here for the approval of $650,000 for the modular homes, Mr. Ed Flores, and you guys can review this meeting in May, said council approved $625,000 for HPI in September. So he brought it down back to the council without us ever having the proposal. So, I'm sorry, you guys, I'm just pretty upset. I can give you guys the outline of how it all went from September till now. The picture is clear. There's information that we're not provided. HUD has already been informed of what's going on, and they will be investigating. There was a letter. HUD told me that HPI was not a housing-approved agency, HUD agency. But yet we're giving them all this money. It's $1.4 million if in fact they get the home HUD funds for the September allocation and the $880,000 to purchase the properties on North Golden Avenue. Somebody's getting paid with that money. And I'm afraid that we're going to be getting another vacant lot like we have in Arden Guthrie and Highland area. I mean, the $625, that was for infill single-family housing projects per an email that I got from Mark Scott on November 1st. Not multi-housing properties. I've explained to him, and I've explained it here and to my council member about the issues I have just in my block. I have 4 different apartment units that we're constantly calling PD on. High traffic, parking, there's no parking, loitering, trash. I don't know if we can afford any more multi-housing in our city.
Jim Smith?
Yes, I'm James Smith, and I'm a lifetime resident of the city of San Bernardino. I think that's important for speakers to identify from where they are. Most of the speakers tonight are from San Bernardino, but in previous council meetings, I don't think they've really identified where they're from, and I think that's very important from a professional standpoint, because we need to understand that the people of San Bernardino are the important people that will be affected by legislation like this. One of my most important sayings I have, what I share with my friends, is that I never anticipate a negative event. And I think that's what some of you are doing tonight. You're anticipating that this will be a failure for the city of San Bernardino. Well, it won't. We are moving forward. We are out of bankruptcy, okay? We need a fresh start. And this could be a part of the fresh start. It can certainly help the nonprofits, like Mr. Rowland has said, from the Arrowhead United Way. Very respected citizen. He's 100% in favor of this. I'm also involved in many historic committees here in the city of San Bernardino, the Historical Preservation Commission, Native Sons, and this is good for the city of San Bernardino. It's what is probably most critical, one of the most critical things, is that I'm sick and tired of the city of San Bernardino losing money that has been granted to us, $880,000. Excuse me, I'm speaking. You want to leave the room? Did I speak? Did I interrupt you?
Mr. Smith, go ahead. Please ask the audience to respect the speakers. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. Simple arithmetic, okay? This city needs these funds to move our city forward. We cannot just forfeit funds in the city of San Bernardino. It's very, very important not to do that. This is a good project on Garden. As you recall, we had lively discussions about a facility for single men on the west side. And we approved that. You approved it. And that is going to be very good for the citizens of San Bernardino. Okay? That's where we need to be forward-looking and take this as an opportunity to move our city forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. DeGretti?
Good evening. Thank you. It's been a long time since I've addressed the council. However, I found this important. I'm very thankful to members like Dina Adams, who likes to post the information of what's happening here in our city. I do reside in San Bernardino. My children attend San Bernardino. And the reason why I oppose this, what I see in our city, we are already a citywide low-income housing. There is no other city that you can go to, any of our surrounding cities that you can go to and rent or purchase a property at the same cost that you can come and purchase here in San Bernardino City. To have an idea that we need to bring more low-income housing, we already have it. That's the reason why I oppose it. I would rather you provide housing for our veterans that would be welcome here, for our seniors that would be very welcome here. However, to say low-income housing, we already have it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Mayor,
Councilman Schmidt?
I was advised by the city attorney that until the conversation came back to the dais, that I could listen in on any public comments. But now that you're going to bring this to the dais, I need to recuse myself, as I am a board member of HP1, which is a developer of the project.
Thank you. This evening, we are here. This is item number 1. It's a recommendation to adopt a resolution of the Mayor and City Council of the City of San Bernardino authorizing the substantial amendment of fiscal year 2016-17 annual action plan to add the Golden Apartments project and the execution of a loan agreement for the project. Councilman Movio?
Yes, I just had a few questions for the city manager. And I think it's been pointed out that this project has already been approved, and whether they get this loan or not, it's going to take place. Is that true?
That is correct. At the last meeting, there were a couple questions. The council requested whether or not there was an opportunity, given the fact that this is an approved project and would be moving forward, whether or not the council contributes the $880,000 to it, whether it would move forward. In exchange for that, you asked whether or not there would be an opportunity to include language that gave priority to San Bernardino residents. We have worked with legal counsel to insert that language. You do have representatives here from Step Up. Kimberly Albers, who addressed the council the other evening, is here, and they've agreed to that language. We're also fortunate this evening to have with us Dina Fuentes from the County of San Bernardino and Maria Raza from the Housing Authority that can answer any other specific questions you have. The other thing you asked us for was information about housing units and the distribution of those amongst the other cities in San Bernardino County. We did have to turn the agenda around very quickly, and so we did provide some limited information to you that reflects the number of project-based vouchers by city, as well as some of the units that are under construction, either currently or were constructed in the recent past. But again, you may have some questions related to that, and so it was helpful to have the ladies from the county here this evening to answer specific questions.
And I got one other question.
Yes, sir.
Now, if they don't need the if they don't need $880,000, and I know what the answer is anyway, but it's just rhetorical. Why are we loaning the $880,000 to?
The $880,000 will be used for the acquisition, and again, we timed the contribution to this made by the city to the project to ensure that we met the deadline, the August 31st deadline. But certainly, they do need the money for this project to go forward. If they don't have this funding, they will utilize other funding that's available. And this is funding that, if not used, will return to the Treasury. But it is an opportunity for us, as they repay the loan, then to devote the proceeds from that repayment to other housing priorities that the council has.
And so, I guess the bottom line, from my point of view, is that this $880,000 must be spent by August 31st. We talked about that last time. We really have no other ready projects for it at this present time. Now, why the rush on this is that this was given to us prior to 2015, and because of accounting problems and auditing problems and just maybe weakness in terms of the people that we had over in housing, it was lost, or it was overlooked. But the point is that what we're doing essentially by loaning it to Step Up.
We'd actually be loaning it to the housing. Our loan agreement would not be directly with Step Up. It would be to the Golden Apartments, the limited partnership that's going to be responsible for redeveloping this and then ultimately managing it.
Okay. But Step Up is associated with them?
They're associated. They would be
Okay.
providing the supportive services, and certainly anyone, if Kimberly has specific information, but they would be providing the wraparound services that would be necessary to help bring the individuals that would be at that facility, provide the resources and support to them, hopefully to end the cycle of homelessness.
If we don't vote in favor of this loan tonight, we'll lose $880,000. If we vote to allow the loan, essentially what we're doing is sheltering the $880,000, and it will be paid back to us over time.
Yes.
That money then can be used for local needs, including down payment mortgage assistance to San Bernardino young families wanting to buy their own properties. What we've used this before as.
Yes.
And so the point is that we want to use this to shelter it so we don't lose it, so it doesn't go back to Dr. Carson, and it'll be paid back to us so that we can then use it for mortgage down payment assistance to young families who want to buy their own homes.
The council would have the ability, like other HUD funding, to program that to determine what your priorities are with respect to that housing fund.
Or
You'd have
to fix up homes and
Fix
so
up
forth,
homes,
just
yes.
exactly what we've done before. So in other words, a lot of the speakers mentioned these aspects, but, again, missed a certain point here or there. But the reality is, by passing this tonight, loaning it, we're sheltering that money. We're spending it before the deadline, so it doesn't go back to Dr. Carson, and we'll be able to use it in the future.
Yes, but I do want to make sure that we're being completely transparent. We would anticipate with the way this loan is structured that we won't receive dollar for dollar, but yes, any proceeds from that are paid to the city will be used for other housing purposes and priorities of the council.
Councilmember Valdivia.
Thank you, Mayor. Ms. Miller, I appreciate reading some of the report over the weekend. I do have questions regarding the money. How was it that city staff was alerted to the overspend or the additional budget remaining in various accounts?
I will have to defer to Diane, but as the council and the mayor are aware, we're going through all of our HUD programs now. There have been issues with respect to the timeliness of reporting and the use of funds. We're trying to ensure now that we are reporting accurately to HUD, but we're also using the funds within the timeframes established by them. So as you're aware, we're going through an audit of all of our accounts, and I'll ask Diane just to talk specifically about how she walked through that.
Right. We received a letter from HUD on June 9th, letting us know that this money was going to be lost if we didn't expend it by August 31st.
And these monies were carried over, aggregated from fiscal years 15, 16, and...
Correct. These funds were dedicated to eligible home activities. They're pre-2015 home dollars, so we did spend the money. These are unspent monies from those activities. So what we're doing is we're just gathering those dollars and coming up with another activity that we could use that is eligible under the home departments and utilizing these monies instead of having them go back to the U.S. Treasury.
Is the interest more that the money is spent before the buzzer rings?
That's it.
So you're not necessarily tied to one particular project. In fact, how many projects are eligible to receive home funds outside of this?
Well, as far as the ones that we're able to identify, this is the most ready activity that we have.
Is that right?
Shovel-ready activity.
That's not my question. My question is, outside of this project zone,
Right.
what other areas can we allocate this $880,000 for?
Yes. Well, if you're looking at home-eligible activities that can go for developing rental housing, it could be used for owner-occupied residential rehab. It could be used, home ownership support. Those are all activities that we funded in previous years.
Do we currently have any contracts, existing relationships, or vendors that provide any of the aforementioned services outside of the exception zone?
Not at this time. The only activity that we have going on is the infill housing program.
So, yes, we do have a vendor that can provide infill housing.
Correct.
Does the $880,000 also qualify for infill housing?
It would qualify for infill housing.
Tell me a little bit about infill housing and what services are regarded as infill housing.
Infill housing, what it is that we're doing is we're developing new homes for low and moderate income persons, and that's what we're doing is we're taking vacant lots, building affordable housing on these lots and making them available to low and moderate income persons.
So my interpretation is single-family dwellings.
Single-family
Traditional
dwellings.
houses,
Correct.
as most residents assume that it's a single-family residence.
Yes.
And this is throughout the entire city that we can repurpose this money for?
Yes. Yes, it is.
So we're not necessarily tied with the shotgun held to our head tonight that the $880,000 has to be appropriated necessarily here. There are other opportunities, correct?
That is not correct. The $880,000 that needs to be, or we're asking to be committed, will expire August 31st.
But there are other areas and zones, such as the infill housing.
But it's not ready to be used. We need to be able to expend these dollars by August 31st. So the activity that we have on the dock today, it will do that.
So let's get into like a promissory note. Is there a legal requirement to book the funds and cut a check for $880,000? Or does the law, Mr. Sines, Mr. DiMichele, is there an opportunity to book it via promissory notes that contingent upon some criteria, we can book this money for infill housing?
The funds have to be expended by August 31st.
Define
What that
expended.
means, expended, means that we have to have an expenditure on our books, and we have to draw that money from the U.S. Treasury. So all that has to happen before August 31st.
I have never seen government draw money that fast. That's alarming to me that if we say yes tonight, tomorrow the Treasury is just going to hit enter and automatically they get 880.
And remember, in their minds, it wouldn't have been that fast because we should have been doing this since about 2015. So, yeah. So no, normally they would not do that. And part of the reason why this arrangement is structured the way it is, it's for acquisition because we know that is a portion of the project that can be addressed before
Okay.
August 31st.
Now, I want to talk a little bit about the terms of the money. So, talk to us about the terms of repayment. Is there any interest paid? And you had suggested that really it isn't dollar for dollar return.
It is not a dollar-for-dollar return, and I'll have Diane and Don DiMichele, the attorney for the housing staff, walk through it, but it is not dollar-for-dollar.
All right.
Right, so our loan will be a secondary loan, and as far as repayment will be from 10% of the residual receipts, and the term of the loan is 57 years.
57 years
57 years
of repayment.
57 years, and the interest rate is at 3%.
57 years of repayment at 3%. Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Marquez.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'd like to bring up Dina Fuentes to come up here. The backup reflects that the property owners and managers have participated in the San Bernardino County Sheriff Coroner Department's crime-free multi-housing unit program. Can you let us know what that consists of? Because I know that this will provide safeguards for any potential criminal activity, for example.
And actually, probably Anthony Perez would be better on explaining the program. But typically, anybody that we fund, we require...
Please state your name.
I'm sorry, Dina Fuentes. I am the Deputy Executive Officer for the County Community Development and Housing Agency. As our own requirements for the county, in which we are putting in over $3 million of home funds into the project, we require anyone that we fund for affordable housing to go through the crime-free multifamily program, whether if it's with the city, if they have one, we require them to go through the city's program. If not, we require them to go through the county sheriff's department program. That deals with leasing issues, it deals with compliance issues, and those sorts of things relative to that.
Code enforcement and so on and so forth.
And the other thing which I think is equally important, both in our program funds, because we're basically soft lenders, both us and if the city approves this, we are lenders into the project. There will be a first deed of trust by a private mortgage, and we're underwriting rents and operations. And by having, and I know there were questions on, well, 57 years seems very long. That's traditional in the world of affordable housing.
Is that standard?
Yes, because we typically require 55-year affordability covenants for any affordable housing project that we are going to underwrite. In turn, in our documents, there are conditions on the developer in which we require maintenance and operations, which give us a little bit more of a hammer in relationship to just code enforcement of the local entity, because they have an obligation in which to perform above and beyond that. And we have standards on maintenance and operations. We do inspections, both for affordability and operations. So in our affordable housing developments, We're very cognizant about the long-term operations and putting in terms in the loan and the legal documents that give us the flexibility of additional enforcement.
So you run a tight ship.
And HUD requires us to do this. We get audited by HUD. We have to prove our maintenance and operation covenants. We go out and do on-site inspections, as we invest in different projects throughout the county.
Thank you.
Councilman Valdivia.
Ms. Fuentes, I appreciate your testimony. You talked a little bit about the first or primary lender. Ms. Miller had suggested, or Ms. Cota had suggested it's a secondary loan. So for some reason, first lender, it's a private mortgage company or whatnot, for some reason, they go belly up. Are we on the hook for the balance of this loan?
No, what would typically happen in our documents, and Anthony can address it, but there's cure provisions like any secondary or third-tiered lender on the opportunity to cure that loan to be able to take the property. So.
Good evening, Council. My name is Anthony Perez again from Housing Partners One. Actually, the primary lender, the loan in first position is the county's home fund, their contribution. Second position lender would be then the city, because again, we'd like to stack the home funds.
Right, I get that.
So there is no private lender. It's really the first lender that you're behind is the county.
But my question is, what happens if for some reason the county loses funding or there's a misstep and, sorry, San Bernardino, are we left holding the note on the first?
No.
Who insures it?
Well, because it's federal dollars, because it's HUD funds, it's non-insurable. In other words, the money has already been allocated and set aside for the program. So unlike a traditional lender that would have to be able to loan those funds, this money comes from the federal government.
All right. Now, thank you, Ms. Fuentes. My other question regards to the concern that I have is that we should have really been alerted almost pretty quickly here. This is pretty late notice. It's really towards the end. I have still concerns regarding some of the you guys did provide the three things that we asked for. Appreciate that. To hear some of the comments tonight, especially by Mr. Porter, your grid or your graph or your chart, that is certainly concerning that we have more and more proposed projects in the city. Goes back to what Ms. Richards said on Wednesday, is what's next and what's coming, and is there more coming? By all indication, there is more coming. Can you speak to that, Ms. Miller?
I'm not aware, and Dina may be aware of something. We're not aware of any projects pending. Now, that doesn't mean that something might not come up that we're not aware of, but we are not aware of anything at this time.
Yes, Ms.
The only other project that the county's working on in the city is the revitalization of Waterman Gardens. So from us as a funder, those are our only two that we're working on.
Here's the concern that I have. In the last 5 years, it's almost been, well, let's pick a homeless project of the year. And this council has consistently and always attempted to dig deep in the barrel for let's pick the bit, instead of picking business, instead of picking economic development, instead of really focused in on creating jobs, what we're doing is let's somehow massage the plan so that they and these homeless funds can be allocated to our project of the year. We have Waterman Gardens. We have the Third Ward homeless Taj Mahal. We have the true Taj Mahal for the homeless. That's a complete failure, over $1 million spent with no outcomes. And then we have a proposed project list that I haven't even seen. I'd love to see that chart, Mr. Porter. Thank you. Just said it right there. Thank you, sir. So it's concerning to me. When will it stop? I think residents in our community are concerned, taxpayers are concerned about the onslaught of the magnet effect. I still don't feel that this is a good project, and I cannot and will not support it tonight.
Councilmember Bashar.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So John asked a lot of questions that I had concerns about, especially with the dollar for dollar. I believe a while ago we were talking about this $100,000, and I thought I heard something that says if we let it go back, we will receive a portion of it back.
No, it's actually $880,000. It has to be expended by August 31st.
Right.
If we don't expend the $880,000, that amount will be returned to the Treasury. We will not be able to draw that down. If we were to contribute to this project that has been approved by the City Council previously, so this is a project that the county will continue to do regardless of whether or not the $880,000 is committed to it. But if we do commit the $880,000, while it's not dollar for dollar, any proceeds from that loan repayment that we receive will be reinvested in the housing program for programs that the council will have an opportunity to review. Like you've talked about, Diane Cotto mentioned it can be used for loans for rehabilitation for single-family homes. It can be used for loans for affordable families, so trying to get homes occupied by residents of San Bernardino, and a whole host of other programs. So as those dollars return to and become available to the city, we will be able to, again, have you program those for other council priorities.
Right, okay, thank you. But I believe that the prior city manager stated that even though we can't draw it down now,
right,
but we can reapply for it and we can get it at a later date. Is that true?
These are and I apologize, I'm not sure what the former city manager was referring to. These are pre-2015 dollars, though, and so these do have to be expended by August 31st. Otherwise, we won't be able to reapply for them. These dollars will not be able to be drawn down. There are some other, we do receive annual allocations from HUD. In fact, we are a direct recipient. Most of the other cities in the county are not direct recipients, so we are much like the county of San Bernardino, and Dina can probably provide greater information on that. As such, we are constantly receiving annual allocations. These dollars, though, are so very old that they have to be expended.
Okay, thank you. So one of my concerns is that, like John said, what next? I'm born and raised in San Bernardino. I love San Bernardino, and I just recently viewed a video, and I think I talked about it in the last meeting in regards to San Bernardino County changing its image and its look. And in the video, San Bernardino wasn't in that video. And it was alarming to me that we weren't a part of it. And it makes me wonder, is that how we view our city of San Bernardino? With our residents, when talking to the residents in San Bernardino, they don't want to see another project. They don't want to see another housing project. Do we need affordable housing? Yes, but we have affordable housing here. Let's work on the housing that we have, because it looks like crap in the city. Let's work on what we have and stop building new. And I think that we need to look at that, because there's a lot of, we have the Maplewoods, we have the Dorjels, we have Little Zion, there's so many other areas that we have that we need to start looking into those and start redeveloping those instead of creating new. So that was my concern, but one of the things that I will stick by my word is that I said that I would support this if they changed the language. And so because you guys changed the language, and this project is going to happen, whether we approve it or not, but I'm going to stick by my word, and I'm going to say, since the language was changed, I'm going to support it. Not happily, because of the way the loan is created. 57 years, I ain't going to be here. Well, I might.
I was going to say, I think you'll still be there.
I might.
Yeah.
But, I don't anticipate that. But I just wish that you said it was normal, so this is a normal agreement. So I agree with that, but that's my view on it. Just wanted to let everybody know how I was taking it. I'm going to stand on my word. I said I was going to support it if they change the language. They're going to change the language. And for everybody, the viewing audience, that everybody that's against this is going to happen one way or the other. It's already been approved, so let's let this happen. But I'm going to tell you, other ones that come, it's not going to be as easy as this. And we sitting up here at the council, we don't want to see anything at the last minute and say, hey, this is the last minute, we got to spend this money right here, right there. Come on now, we got to do better. We got to do better for the citizens and the communities, and especially I can actually speak for the 6th Ward. We hold 3 of the largest developments out there with low-income housing, and they need to be approved. They need to be improved, not just looking at something new. We need to improve those in the Sixth Ward. Thank you.
City Manager.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, and I appreciate Councilmember Richard's comments, I think a couple weeks ago I sat here before you and I talked about the focus over the next couple of weeks, or it's usually a year or so, and it's only been a couple weeks since I was appointed as your city manager. We've got to get the right people in the right place, so right people filling the right jobs. We need to focus on creating systems because we have a whole host of systems that are not working well and not working for the community. We need to focus on customer service, but I think another big issue that we've got to start to tackle is our housing problem, and it's not going to be one cure. It has to be a whole host of things coming together, and I certainly do understand our code enforcement program is an important part of that, making sure that the people in this community are being held accountable for maintaining their property in compliance with the city code, and then having programs such as those that can be funded with CDBG monies and HUD monies to support those residents who do want to make improvements to their properties and just don't have the ability to do that. So I agree with you. We're going to be working to try to get support from our local judges and our prosecutors to try to identify other tools that our code enforcement program can use so we can be more effective in a much more timely manner. So I agree, and we'll begin to work on that quickly.
Councilmember Barrios.
Thank you, recognize him.
Thank you very much, and please forgive me for my attire. The one thing I see right away, like as far as putting the council in the position that it's in, we need to get away from this is it, it's 2 weeks, you got to do this or else. And at the same time, like what right now may be the time to look at, okay, in the next 60, 90 days, 6 months, what other factors or what other issues are we going to have to deal with as far as deadlines? So one thing is, unlike the position the council is put in to make these types of decisions, that it's at the last moment. But looking at a holistic approach, we got to look at the relationships that we're building with the community, the county. I don't like supporting this project as far as because of all the issues that it entails. And we need to look at other options. We need to look at, okay, what else we have done with this? Mm-hmm. Not just this is the one option, this is all we can do, and this is where it's going. I don't like being put in that position, and the city doesn't deserve to be put in that position. There's a lot of people out there that would rather have a down payment program, the assistance program to help get into homes, and that's one of the goals that we have is to take renters to owners so that there's more investment, there's more, people really taking care of their own properties. So I just feel that there should have, and I know there's a better approach we could have taken on this. Mm-hmm. Hopefully, and I pray to God, this is the last time we have to deal with this type of situation, and that we move forward making better judgment on what is coming up in the future. Like I said, 6 months from now, I don't want to see this again. I don't want, hey, council, you got 2 weeks to make the decision to spend this money or else. Let's start talking now. What else is out there? What is forecasted a year from now? So that we get ahead of the game. 3 months prior, hey, these are coming down the pipe. It's this option or this option. What are the options out there? What's the best approach for this city? We are in a position to where this city is rebuilding itself. It's healing. And the type of politics that have been going on, we need to move away from the past of how it used to function and to now operate in a way where we are doing this the best way possible. And Ms. Miller, I know you're the quarterback to make it happen. I know you are. I'm just requesting that you get a hold of that so in the next 6 months, this never has to come up again. As far as, a last-moment decision as far as this or else. We've been this council in the whole time I've been here has been put in that position many times. And for the sake of our council, it's at sometimes made us look really bad because we've had to move forward with decisions we didn't like. Like this decision tonight, holistically, it's maybe an improvement for the community. As we know, California is in a housing crisis. The answer to homelessness is housing. But is this the best approach that San Bernardino could have made in making this decision? Being that we are kind of held against the gun tonight, I feel obligated to support it. Because you got to look at the city. Emotionally, personally, I don't want to support it.
Yeah, no, really.
But you got to look at the city. We have an issue here. We have an issue that we got to address. We have an issue that's a problem within our community. And this is not pretty much the best solution to it, but it's an approach to support it and to address it. And therefore, I feel obligated to support it.
Mr. Mayor, if I just may respond to that, I certainly understand the importance of giving the council good information. I've indicated to you, I think one of the highest priorities is making sure that we have the right people in the right positions and people who understand their functions. Unfortunately, for some period of time, we're trying to quickly go through the things that have gone on over the last several years. You've had tremendous amount of transition in all sorts of positions. I think as we begin to stabilize the organization, have the right people in the right positions, things won't come up at the last minute like this. But with all that said, as much as I will try not to do that, remember, every day I walk in, and I think that you'll find that you have an awful lot of very new employees that come in each day, and you pick up a rock and you realize that there are a lot of things underneath that rock that weren't really visible. So we're going to try to go through that assessment as quickly as possible so that we give you a heads up about things. Try to bring that to you as quickly as you can so you have a chance to react to it. But we have years of recalibrating ourselves to go through.
Councilman Valdivia.
Thank you, Mayor. Ms. Cotto, you had suggested that there was an alternative. There is an option tonight that council has. Legally, we have that option. Is that correct? If it were shovel-ready, we have that correct. We have that option.
If we had activities that were ready to fund and ready to go where we can expend these dollars before August 31st, yes. But at this time...
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Okay.
What's the name of that provider that we have a relationship, an existing, they're authorized, recognized vendor of the city that cooperates with us on home ownership, infill housing, and owner-occupied homes? What is it?
As far as infill housing, our agreement is with MPHS and HP1, who is here. As far as...
HP1 is a current provider. That's
correct.
Is the one this evening.
Okay.
Right. As far as owner-occupied residential rehab, the agreement is with MPHS.
Have you, it's my speculation, and that's why I want to clarify. Have you made outreach to those entities that provide owner-occupied and infill housing? Have you reached out to them and say, do you have any shovel-ready projects? Have you made that call?
Well, that was what the infill housing program, we released an RFP to secure someone who can do owner-occupied.
And this was the respondent?
Who could do infill housing.
And this is the respondent?
We had HP1, and then we had MPHS, who responded to our RFP.
And what happened to the other individual? We just decided not to...
I'm not going to, there was only two.
So there was two respondents to it?
Right.
To that one.
and it was an RFP, and this agency won.
NPHS won the RFP for the infill housing program.
Okay.
That was back in June.
And it's these folks that are here before us that won, correct?
This is HP1. HP1, they were awarded funding back in September 19th, for the infill housing program.
Okay, all right. So there is, my idea is that we would have a letter. Do we have a political lobbyist in Washington that works with HUD? And if so, who's that national political lobbyist that we hire and retain to represent us in D.C.?
We have Letitia White, who provides assistance to us. She hasn't dealt with anything, to my knowledge, HUD-related recently, but we do have Letitia White.
Have you made a call to her to cross-check to see if we can seek a variance on these funds?
There is no possibility for a variance on these funds. This is regulatory. It's a regulatory statute that said that these funds will expire, so there is no lobbying.
But the answer is no, right? You have not reached out.
No.
You have not sought advice, and you have not sought the lobbyist firm their input.
No, we
Is
have
that
not.
right?
No, we did not. We went to our HUD advisors who've indicated this is regulation.
And who are the HUD advisor that you spoke with?
It was Chin-Woo Choi.
In our Los Angeles office?
Los Angeles office, as well as Bill Vasquez, who is the director of HUD,
Okay.
CPD unit.
And the term limit or the term expiration is, what, 3 years from date of rollover or date
No,
of
you have
project rollout?
You have 2 years to commit and 5 years to expend funds.
2 years.
To commit home dollars to an
Okay.
activity, an eligible activity, and then after that time, you have 5 years in which to expend those dollars.
So this is money from 2015.
Free $2,015.
So we technically have till 2020?
No.
How?
No,
If
these
you
are
just
free
said,
$2,015. They were committed many years ago, around 2009, 2010.
well, why weren't
Dollars
those
have been on
monies
the-
then absorbed? If the time limit is five years,
Because we've expended most of those dollars that were committed. They were committed to owner-occupied rehab, and they were also committed to down payment assistance programs in the tune of millions of dollars. They did not expend all the dollars that we awarded them so many years ago. So what we're doing is we're taking those leftover balances, and it's enough to create or fund a project, and we're trying to use those last bits to do something positive in the community.
so the monies spent have a 5-year commit, or a 2-year commit period, and a 5-year expend. So if I'm doing my math right, this is probably 2012 money that was never expended.
Right.
2013 money that was never expended?
Or maybe
Part-
2009.
It could have been 2000. It was prior
But
to.
is it, maybe I'm not understanding, so let me roll back my question. If you had just suggested that this is a 5-year window, if I do 09 to plus 5 years, what's the math there, Ms. Cotto?
It's 2014.
So I'm
So
not,
these are monies that will expire.
from,
because
so from 09.
Right.
Somewhere between '09 and about 2015, 14.
Right. Because it could have been 2009 monies that it made up these activities. Then sometimes what will happen is that those monies, if you still have some time on those dollars to commit to other activities, they get repurposed and moved into another activity.
So it's
That could have been
conceivable that some of this
2011.
money from '09 is now almost 7-8 years later being expended in a substantial amendment. So it's not necessarily a 5-year window.
It is a 5-year window. You have to expend these dollars. It depends on how you put these monies together and the date of these monies, the date in
Okay.
which these monies were
Well,
awarded.
This sounds clever mathematics, folks. And taxpayers, it's somehow convenient for government moves quickly and fast when there's a deadline. But when residents are calling for pothole repair and streetlight repair, there is somehow no answer, or weed abatement, or illegal dumping, and now we're somehow hauled over a barrel to make a decision tonight. I encourage you, colleagues, really reconsider.
Councilmember Marquez.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm hearing a lot of frustration from my colleagues, and I get that. We also have to be mindful that we were in turmoil for 4 years, and it was an exodus of staff in and out, and that's no excuse. But we spent an hour last week speaking about this issue, and we were spending another hour, which is fine, because this is a lot of money. But at the end of the day, we have to spend this money, otherwise it will go back to the U.S. Treasury. I believe in this program wholeheartedly. Dina mentioned about the program and how the landlord and the property manager will be held accountable. And we are getting better, Ms. Miller. I know a few years ago, we were getting stuff at the last minute. Gentlemen, I have the floor, please. I don't disrespect you guys when you're speaking. Thank you. And so my request is, please take the time. We have good staff now. We really need to look at these funds very carefully and not wait until the last minute, because it does create, at least for me, it creates some anxiety, because this is taxpayer money that I'm going to be spending. And in this case, it's going to go toward a worthwhile project. So if there's no other discussion, I'd like to move this project.
And I think we've discussed it enough.
I agree.
I would like to bring back up Dina Fuentes for a moment. In the report, there's this Housing Authority, County of San Bernardino, project-based voucher sites by city, and it indicates that Ontario has 13, and San Bernardino has 13, and Victorville has 19. And if you go to the 2013 point-in-time count for Ontario, Ontario at that time had a homeless count of 136, and as of 2017, they have a homeless count of 91. They've seen it drop by about 30+%. If you look at the city of Victorville also, which is one of the high providers here, they had, back in 2013, 292 in their homeless count. They've dropped it now to 157 as of 2017. The city of San Bernardino, which also is showing 13, for 2013 had a homeless count of 908 and has now, as of 2017, dropped that to 491. Does there, in your opinion, appear to be a positive correlation by those cities that are doing something to address the homelessness, which seems to, from this table, showing a fairly high reduction in the homeless count and the amount of sites that they're providing? In your estimation, does that seem to have a fair correlation?
There's a distinct correlation of how the cities participate, because the cities can participate like Ontario did and that you're considering, because you're a few of the cities who actually get direct housing monies that you can choose on how to invest those in your respective communities. The other cities may not have housing resources, but they may be participating in relationship to entitlements and part in how do we find sites, or working with us on finding landlords who are willing to support renting to our homeless folks or folks who are experiencing homelessness.
Your report also indicates the city of Redlands only had 2.
Mm-hmm.
And the point-in-time count for Redlands in 2013 was 62.
Correct.
And as of 2017, it was 164. So although others have gone both ways, depending on, in some cases, the year, there does appear to be some, not necessarily scientific correlation, but those cities that are doing something about this in addressing it are seeing a reduction in their homeless. And some of those cities that aren't are seeing an increase in their homeless.
Correct.
Thank you. We have a motion, and we have a second. Yes, Councilmember Martin.
I just have one quick comment. I believe in the last meeting, we talked about the mayor drafting a letter to the other mayors, and so that's been
It's
taken
included,
care of. Okay.
correct. Right. Thank you. Please cast your votes, or we're going to do a roll call.
Yes. Ms. Marquez? Mr. Barrios?
Yes.
Mr. Valdivia?
No.
Ms. Richard? And Mr. Mulvihill?
Yes.
The item passes 4-1 with Mr. Valdivia voting no and Mr. Charette recused.
Thank you. We will next turn to public comments for items not on the agenda. Robert Porter.
Mayor, Council,
For the record,
people.
please note Councilman Charette has returned.
Hey, Mr. Charette, I'm glad you got here just in time.
Came back just for you, Robert.
Thank you kindly, sir. I appreciate it. And I'm sure you didn't hear anything.
I just can't participate.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting. It makes it-
You have 3 minutes.
Oh, well, I can get it done in time. I'm pretty sure about it. I just wanted to say that I was born here in San Bernardino. Fourth generation living here, business owner. Educated at Riley Elementary. I went to Golden Valley, Pacific High School. Went to Cal State San Bernardino and got my degree in anthropology. Almost finished my graduate degree, but ran out of money. You know how that happens in San Bernardino. Anyone can go ahead and take a look at my transcripts. 4.0, and at the end of my program, ran out of money. But they don't like to give scholarships at the end. They want to give you scholarships in the beginning. But during this free time from my graduate studies, I had brain power to use. And being an archaeologist, an earth mover, and a plant specialist, I just happened to be one of the humans in this world that could look at something very special we have in San Bernardino and realize that it was more than just a hill covered in plants. So what I discovered here is more than just a garden. These gardens were used for food. They were used for medicine on our hills, all around the Arrowhead. And in fact, around Arrowhead Peak, in all those canyons, are some of the most incredible edible gardens and medicinal gardens you'll ever see. Most of you will never have gone there because it's really hard hiking to get there, and you have to be in super good shape. But once you do get in there and you understand what's going on, that stuff is all left over from when the Native Americans were there. Well, how is that possible? Well, because plants live a lot longer than humans. And plants live, some plants can survive when they're burned straight to the ground. And in fact, some plants even love to be burned to the ground, and they grow back. So, if they were to plant a garden that ended up still being here to this day in a shape that represents a song or an image that they held dear, I think there's a possibility. So instead of looking at this stuff as I'm trying to prove something, maybe try to encourage me. Maybe try to help. Maybe take a look up there yourself. I mean, considering that the Arrowhead itself is a man-made piece of art. The Boy Scouts altered it in the 1950s. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Scott Olson.
Last city council meeting was rather interesting. Who were those guys in the black masks? I was listening to them, and I was honestly starting to get worried because they were talking to city council and the way they were treating you guys. I was wondering which one of you was a white supremacist, a Nazi, a racist, or worse. They were looking right at Henry Nickel and Bessine, and I was like, huh? Now, that's kind of to get you guys' attention. We had a rally on Orange Shore Road and Waterman several months ago. And I want to again, because if I listen to those guys in the black masks, they made our cops sound, they pretty much didn't do any justice to our cops. Our cops police department, I don't know which is the correct term, did a wonderful, fantastic job. You read the papers after that event, there were no injuries. There were no arrests. And to my knowledge, there were no complaints against our police department. You wouldn't know that by listing the guys in the black mask. Let's take a look at who actually organized that rally. I'm not going to give her name because of the guys in the black mask who like to hide their identities. She's Hispanic. This was her first rally she organized against Sharia law. Why did she do so? Because she's a very strong supporter for women's rights. And Sharia law has little support for women's rights. For that, she is branded a racist, a Nazi, a white supremacist, and worse. The people that were there in that rally, that supported her, almost 500 of us, yes, I've already publicly admitted, I've been on national TV voicing my opinion, so it's a little hard to say, oh, gee, me? I wasn't there. I was. I went as an observer, but left as a proud American. Because I went to a group of people with a rally full of American flags. There were no Nazi symbols. There was one different flag that I was concerned about, so I asked. It was a flag in support of Blue Lives Matter. Yeah, that's the group that rallied there on Orange Show Road. On the other side, we had individuals, and I'm going to rush this up, who had one token American flag they quickly took down. The main feature they had was a picture, and they were advocating for Che Guevara. Anybody know who Che Guevara is? Che Guevara is from the communist Cuba time with Castro. He's known as the enforcer, the executioner. That is who they chose to glorify. And those of those American flags were the Nazis, were the racists. You have to take a look at who the individuals are, and it's not a surprise. There's more, of course. Why? They don't tell you who they really are. But yet they want you to kill the free right speech of all of us so they can tell you what they think. Thank you.
Mr. Perez. Could you pronounce your first name?
Good evening, and Mayor, City Mayor, and council members. It is really a pleasure for me to be here today. I've been here several times, and I can admire everyone that has been here and the people that were here before you that tried to do the best to bring our city of San Bernardino back to the city that they used to be. I understand you had a lot of work to do, and you still got a lot more. And we get to where we got the cities that are in the same county that we're talking to each other, taking them to court, or not even trying to help each other in those areas where they're making good adjustments to bring good housing to the people, take care of the homeless, take care of working with the police force, see those that are in service. And like any other human being, every one of us has some kind of commitment. But we have to learn that if we don't bring our people, ourselves, to be the role models for our kids, the kids that are coming out, you can see that every school's got the problem. The problem starts with the family. We have a tendency to blame everybody else but us. If we as parents start with the kids and then go there and start with our cities and then the counties and so forth. But the main thing that I want to talk to you about today was the one that I'm not sure if I'm out of order, that we're talking about the $800,000.
Oh, Mr. Perez, we've already discussed that.
I understand, but I'd just like, if I may, give you a little bit of history of what I got, because I've been working with them. And I've been working with Loma Linda, PA, on the homeless program. Remember, they didn't have to have one, but now they got one where they take care of them. Now we got the sheriff, the county sheriff, that's got a homeless program. And yet, we got a lot of homeless out there. And I'll tell you for sure, because I know the facts. My house right now is one of them, or the first one that I live in when I first got here, and was stationed out at Norton Air Force Base. And you could see those rental houses there that were made for us. And they met the code enforcement. This one that I'm going to tell you about tonight is located at 6987 De Rosa Avenue.
Mr. Perez, your time has expired.
And I'd just like to invite you to drive just by there and see what those homeless people are going through. And they're under the sheriff program. They've been under them for 3 years. I got a veteran there, so she's still waiting for housing because people will not take somebody that they know is homeless and is going to have all those little things that they bring home.
Mr. Perez, your time
Thank you
has
very
expired.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you, President, and I just want to say that God bless you all, and that in the future that you will help the best of both worlds, because we need to hear all the prayers from you, and we'll be praying for you.
Thank you.
God bless you.
Thank you, Mr. Perez. I'd like to thank the council and those who have participated in our meetings. This meeting is adjourned until... Yes, I apologize. Carmel Rowe.
Okay, so I'm going to address a few different things. The first thing I'd like to address is the property that you guys voted on last week at 882 South Washington Avenue, and you guys sold or allowed to be sold for $80,000. I put in a proposal to the city of San Bernardino to be their listing broker, and I was chosen to have an interview out of one of 3 people. I was not ultimately given the job, but I was sent a letter that said I would be advised of the effective listing date. Now, that property was on there. That property has been listed on Prop 60, on the marijuana ordinance that passed, okay? And that is a property that is zoned for marijuana under the act that passed in San Bernardino, and I do not know why my mind is blank on what it is, the one with Jeffrey Diamond, okay? Oh, Measure O, thank you. Roger Diamond, okay? And I just like you to know that I listed that property with a value of my own personal self because I know these facts and because there was comps around the corner. And one sold for $275,000. You guys just gave it away to a medical facility for marijuana for $80,000. And that bothers me. That bothers me that you left, my lowest comp was a quick sale at $125,000. Now, that bothers me that you gave away even that little bit of money because that's a down payment to somebody. Okay, so I'm gonna tell you guys that once again you've done the wrong thing. You guys approved something that nobody really read and nobody really understood. And how many of you knew that that was under Measure O and that you could have got top dollar for it? Well, I told them that in my interview. So you guys should have been made aware of that. Secondly, I have this letter, and this letter is from the city manager, Mark Scott, dated August 2nd. And it says, "Thank you for joining me for lunch on Friday. During our discussion, I told you that HUD had asked me to respond to you concerning your complaint about the approval process for the HP1 project approved by the city in September." Now, we're talking about the same HP1. Okay, so I'll go on to let you know what the letter says, is that HUD is still asking us for additional backup information to demonstrate the proper process of the HP1 application. Well, we failed to give it to them. Oh, but as you know and have noted, our staff had to file this project very quickly, right at the September 30th, 2016 deadline to avoid the loss of home funds. So wait a minute. In September of 2016, we had to avoid the loss of home funds, and now on August 31st of 2017, we have to avoid the loss of home funds? What we are doing is we are giving away money to developers. This is a hand-in. We are paying for Section 108 loans on the movie theater in Arden and Guthrie at almost $1 million out of our CDBG funds. Now, you guys can't say I haven't sat up here for a year, 2, 3, 4 years and preached to you about the city block grant funds and the home funds.
Okay, this is a problem, and nobody has addressed the problem, and today you made it worse. You gave away $830,000 that you could have said, hey, we got 10 days to allocate to someone else and put it for, we could have allocated to the city of San Bernardino and made a
Mr. Hall, your
loan.
time's
We
expired.
could have made a loan to the city of San Bernardino for that $880,000 and then put it down, a down payment program, and then we could have actually expended it
Mr.
to
Hall,
ourselves.
your time's
I hear
expired.
you. I hear you, Mayor. Okay? But there is a problem that nobody is talking about. Has anybody read? Has anybody drove by? No, they haven't. No, they haven't. Has
Ms. Rowe,
anybody
your
responded to
time
HUD?
is expired.
Has anybody responded to HUD? And Mr. Smith, he gets paid to stand up here and tell you what
Ms.
they
Rowe,
want
your
them
time
to
is
hear.
expired. We have another
Okay?
speaker.
So that's what I got to say.
Yeah.
You guys hear me loud and clearly. I'm looking you in the
Yeah,
face.
if you don't
We have
step down
a
and
problem.
ask
We
the
are
officer.
misusing HUD funds, and
You're
I will be
disrupting-
writing HUD another
You're
letter
disrupting
about
the
the
meeting.
HP1.
Deanna Adams.
I'm going to share with you my experience last Saturday. And this was a celebration of a black family. He turned 7 years old. So we have something in common because I'm 70. We've had a great time, and he was interested in chatting with me. He says, why is there so much confusion with the white people, and what's the problem? So I thought about it, and I said, you know, we voted for a black president twice, Barack Obama. So there should not be a confusion between the blacks, the whites, or anyone else, because America voted for a black president for 8 years, believing that he could unite the country. Yes, we can, he said. Yes, we can. And the masses believed it. So I do not want to hear any more about racism, because for 8 years there was a black president that had the opportunity to unite the masses, and he failed to do so. Instead, he made this country dependent. He made people like puppets. He increased the national debt, hyperinflation. He was a slave towards globalization. So what he did, he abused his office by not uniting the people, but by taking advantage of what he can do. And what did he do for the black people? He did not do anything for the black people. This country has gone down. He had a chance to do something. So I do not want to hear anything about racism or white or Mexican. America voted for Barack Obama for 8 years because we believed in him. Yes, we can. And he failed to do so. So now we have Donald Trump that is shouldering all of his burden, all of that, what he cost. So we should give this president a chance. We should not belittle him. We should give him the same respect as we did Barack Obama, and give him a chance to do his work, to put this country back together, to resolve all those issues, to restore national pride. We have lost our national pride. And to honor our statues, and to put away and get rid of Common Core, to restore. And that's what Barack Obama promised to do, but he didn't do it. And what I'm telling you now, that's what my friend told me, the black gentleman that turned 7 years old. He gave me a speech. And I said, yeah, I agree.
Thank you. Alicia Enciso? Enciso?
Well, hello, Mayor. Hello, Honorable Mayor. Honorable City Attorney, Gigi, Councilwoman Marquez, Senor Barrios, Mr. Valdivia, Mr. Sturred, Mrs. Richards, Ms. Richards, my councilman, Mr. Mulville, and all of you that I don't know, and all of the members here today. I was here to speak about the homeless. Obviously, you made a decision. I think we have a major problem on that. But I did want to come and congratulate you for the good things you're doing. There's always going to be things we can work on. I mean, I was born and raised in the city. My family's been here since the 40s. The Encisos had La Esperanza Market, Lupita's Market, Paco's Tacos, where we're celebrating 50 years coming this September. And I just want to tell you that we need to work on the homeless and protect our pets and fix our streets and so many other little things. But I think in many ways you're doing a good job. And I disagree with that lady about Obama. I went both to his inaugurals. I think he did a very good job considering what he was handed and the lack of support that he got. I would like to give this president a chance. I think he's doing a horrible job. That's my personal opinion. As an American, I'm entitled to that opinion, as you're entitled to yours, ma'am. But I was born and raised here, and I came home in 2005, bought a beautiful home close to the country club. Mary, you know where it is. And I think we need to come together as San Bernardinians, as Californians, as Americans, to better the city. Because, you know, I teach an English class right now. I'm actually an interior designer of many years' experience, 37 years' experience to be exact. I went to Our Lady of Guadalupe. I went to boarding school in Mexico for 3 years. I went to St. Bernardine's, Valley College, then FITM, then UCLA, and I'm back home. Mini MBA from USC. And I just want us to come together. I want us to be green, yellow, pink, and blue, and no color at all. I mean, my eyesight is failing me too sometimes, and it's better when you can't see the color of a person but hear their voice. And I just want to tell you that I think it's important to bring us all together as people of San Bernardino, whether we're homeless. I've been almost homeless 3 times, because when I got here, I had the Telecu projects, the senior housing projects, and then had to stop funding those, and it got harder for me to go to San Bernardino because I'm taking care, to LA, because I'm taking care of my mother. I work out of Libreria. I'm teaching an English class and assisting them. And I'm still doing some some healthcare facilities. But what I'm here to share is that we need to come together as people of San Bernardino and do greater things for it. Thank you very much, and thank you for the job you're doing.
Thank you. Any other comments from the council? City manager, city attorney, city clerk? Councilmember Bashar.
Yeah, I just have one comment. I just wanted to let Scott Olson know. How do you know they were looking at me? You don't know that. Thank you.
Thank you. This meeting is adjourned until Wednesday, September 6, 2017 at 4 p.m.